thank you for joining us yet again, and in case you just joined in, this is Smart 24 TV, and now we head into our business insight, or our SMB insight. We bring to you at least something more detailed that you do not know about a particular entity or a particular thing. Speaking of that, today we take a look at the taxations on the internet and how this has been affecting Ugandans vis-a-vis, and how the critics have been ongoing regarding that. So earlier on, that was last year, government had to tax and remove maybe a taxation on that was the 200 on data, that you would actually get the 200 on OTT, 200 shillings on OTT, and replaced it with the 12% on internet data that would actually meet the costs around there. But Ugandans came out, or some Ugandans raised concern that, hey, this is too much, and maybe why are we doing this? But anyways, do we need to, to adhere to internet tax or any form of taxation? Now, we had a conversation with Godfrey Seram Koko, is the chairperson on the of Internet Service Providers Association in Uganda. Take a look on what he had to say about whether we really need to pay tax or adhere to any form of taxation.
I think from a general perspective, we need social services. We need built roads, we need water, we need dams built for electricity, we need security, we need civil service. And how does that all get to us in terms of civil service? Is that for all the effort that is out there that you do, it is important that you do tax, that you pay your tax. Once you pay your tax, then that enabling environment that you take for granted every day, like a road without potholes, will be able to be done, and done even more widely, so that then we do not only have tarmac on trunk roads, but we do have tarmac even in the roads that go deep into your villages. But also tax is a very good way of sending these of the rich people who are productive really, and of the economies that are doing well for any reason, I mean of the sectors in the economy that are doing well for any reason, to not take tax in bad light, because it's the way you take care of a person, probably for lack of a better place to give an example for. In Karamoja, who probably is not directly into the economy like probably our telecom sector is, and then services are taken to those people. It's a way we care as human beings, that if you're productive, then let government, central government, take tax and then be able to contribute to the well-being of humanity. So I should say people should pay tax.
Very well, there you have it. At least because we need the social services, we need development for our country, we need good roads. Therefore, do not feel bad. Let's not feel, offended. Let's not feel bad when government comes out to say, okay, you know what, citizens, there is tax on this, not just on the internet. There is tax on fish more. There is taxation on fuel. There is taxation on the services you're getting. So let us, because this is for the better other ways. If we do not pay tax, or if citizens do not pay tax, how are we going to meet all that budgeting, that are the things we want for the social services? And speaking of that, let us now head into the critics or criticisms that are raised or arose from the public towards the implementation of the 12%, but we are now learning that not only there is a 12%, but players like telecoms have got to meet an 18% to make sure that service gets to you as the consumer, as the end user. But what does he have got to say regarding licensing and taxation? As meanwhile, he responds, at least this is a body that regulates, or at least that looks care of the providers, and making sure that internet service providers are hand and in conjunction with what they have got to say. Take a listen on what he has to say on licensing and taxation, more so on the tax remittances or tax meets regarding the 18% and other percentages are raising from telecoms and you as the end user.
The reaction as the Internet Service Providers Association is first to say what are our challenges. Our challenges as a country is universal coverage, so that everybody at the farthest end of the country has access to telecommunications. So universal coverage means that everybody has access, has been covered. Now, universal access is that it is also affordable, because those are two burdens that government has. Universal coverage. Coverage means I get and put my phone and I can see MTN, I can see Airtel, and I can see any other provider like a mobile or any other mobile telephone provider. That means you're covered. Now the next question is, can you afford it despite the fact that it's there? So that is universal access. So universal coverage, we are doing, it's legislation. We've been legislated to cover 90% or more of this country, right? And we will, because we are ready to. Now, but business is dependent on the affordability of that service to the people that we are taking it to. It's not just for covering, people must afford it. Now, the cheaper it is to most of the people in the country, and the more people that access our services and can pay for them, the better it is for everyone. And that now determines what the cost that goes to the last person who uses our services. What are the ingredients that form the justifiable ingredients that form that final cost that goes to the customer? I think the challenges we have currently on tax, if I'm to go there, is that for internet, I think we shared before that internet is not resident in Uganda. It is a resource that is the World Wide Web. We're still creating content within the country, but the total balance of access is that probably foreign content takes almost like 80% and local content will take 20%. And our challenge there is that then we are net payers. People who access our services, because we've not created local content, who pay Uganda for access to our content, are probably even non-existent. Or they're existent but not as big, but we buy more from out than coming in. Now, the moment I buy, on the invoice that I do buy for a person who gives me access to internet, I'm charged 18% on that, even when I'm not the final consumer of that service. I'm going to give it to someone, not myself. I'm not the final consumer as a telecom provider. I'm going to get it, then I'm going to give it to the public. So that reverse charge of 18% we feel is unnecessary. We should say, if government can prove that I'm a telecommunications company in Uganda, if I can prove to a government that I'm a telecommunications company in Uganda and I'm connecting to another telecommunications company, either outside Uganda or in Uganda, then there should be no reverse charge of 18%. So that's the first painful cost we have in terms of taxation. Government can say, please pay it, but let it be regarded as input tax, so that then we can reconcile our invoices at the end of the day to say this was paid and this was paid to you and this is what I paid to you at the end of the day, and then we reconcile it as input tax. But currently it's not regarded as input tax, it's a charge. Now the second bit on that is that the moment I do transact as an internet service provider to sell to you, I also have now an excise duty of 12%. So now already there is 18% and there is 12%. So that makes 30% charge on the unit that I've bought. Now onto that, then I will also put all the operational taxes that come on board onto that. There is 12% on airtime, there is 12% on data, there is 12% on value-added services. Any value add I do as innovation onto that internet connection is also charged 12%. So then I have to do all the other operation costs. I have an office, I have infrastructure outside, we have masts, we have vehicles moving, we have people, we pay salaries, we pay as you earn. You pay 10% on NSSF, that's a cost the 10% is a cost to the company. You as an employee, you only pay 5%. I'm mandated by government to pay the rest of the 10% on your behalf. So it's a cost. So what that removes out of, what does that, all these things I'm saying put a burden onto the company is that they have to be offloaded to the final consumer. So I have, because it's an expense for me to have all these things. It's an expense. It's an SD&A or whatever it's categorized as. So I'll put it as a marker within my pot. Now, not only tax, direct tax, but there is also licensing. Currently, we are mandated to pay close to 1% of our gross annual revenues. Whatever I sell within the company as a telecommunications company, I'll have to pay close to 1% or more. Actually, when you do the sum total of regulatory fees in terms of licensing, it comes to 2%. Then again, on the same amount of money, I have to contribute for internet being taken or telecommunications being taken to the rest of the country. I pay another 2%. So that comes to 4% in addition in terms of regulatory fees. So all that, also that must be offloaded to the end consumer. So we are saying that let's rationalize and remove some of these, because there is a lot of compliance within our industry because it's formal business. We do have fast compliance. We do give access to our audited books of accounts annually to the regulator, and we think that the more users that come on board, the more tax that will be generated instead of front-loading costs. So my appeal is that the 8% reverse charge tax of 18% that comes for me importing internet should either be translated into an input tax, right? And then let's, for internet purposes, being that it's an enabler for business. I mean, during the lockdown, we have almost all markets going digital. People selling their shoes, people, having all their shops go online, and we need to aid that enterprise, not with fraud loading costs. So I think also the 12% should go away because it will be gotten from formal trade that now comes through all the channels that have gone digital. Yeah, so let's make the 18% input, and we can reconcile with the regulator, right? And then let's remove the 12% because it's also unnecessary currently. Then we can meet the National Development Plan 3 goal of universal access to everybody.
That is it there. He's highlighting on the removal of the 12% now, and let them meet at least the 18% for the telecoms and also the players to at least come on board, because we have seen a number of issues arising from public concern, even when the economy, or even when there is space for digitalization or digital, but the public tends now to lag behind of some of the costs that come along with that. But that explains really, or also is coming in from the fact that the internet source around the country, it has not belonged to Uganda. So as a country, players or stakeholders have got to incur costs of it to their platform, and then bite it to the other one, so that the transmission costs are met at that particular one. But also as players, as telecom services, we have seen so many on board coming in, and the last time I checked with Mr. Serum Coco, they're highlighting that now we have at least 22 telecom services that are providing, niche and also transmitting, making sure you are on the platforms and using data there and there to get information and also communication, or as a mode of communication. But what does communication entities or new players or new entrants, in case there is any, what do you need to know as you join this space of telecommunication also that is going to be conjoined again towards the internet service providers around the country? This is what you need to know as you come on board as a new entrant.
Market economy. You must do your homework. You must have a business plan. You must do research. Find what niche are you coming. If it's not a niche, who are you coming to give service? Are you coming just to give low price, or are you coming to, every business must be developed on the basis of value that you're going to to give. It's business is created on the paradigm of fair exchange, is that you have a need and then I have a solution for you. I actually come as a company. When I set up a company, I ask here a question: who helps the other? Who helps the other? It is me who has come with a solution to your need, who is helping you. It's not you helping me to be here. So as providers and investors, we come to resolve issues. So what should they consider? Let them see where people's needs are. There is history in this country. There's at one time when we had only one player in the telecom sector, Uganda Posts and Telecommunication. Then we had Celtel. Then we had MTN. Now we have 22. So, and all those 22 are doing something for the population. Some are niched, some are very visible, like you can see MTN and Airtel. So what should they consider? We have a very good market here, by the way. I think on the last report Q3 from UCC, we have hit 22 million unique subscribers on a digital phone, on a smartphone. That's a milestone. That's about 52% internet penetration. It comes from the 40s. Now we are on the upper 50. We are on the lower 50s. It's a milestone for the country. So, and what does that show? It shows all the good things. If more than 50% of your population is digital, meaning that they have the mind to choose who is giving a good deal. So I say the market is growing. There is still more to do. We are 44 million. We have 22 million. There is still a market to cover. There are still people to serve. So if you're coming, please, as the chairman to the Internet Service Providers Association, we don't want to see our members fail. The reason I'm really here is that we want the garden to be fertile for everybody to exist. Yes.
That's interesting there. They do not want to see any members coming on board failing. So do your research, do your homework very clearly, and have an entity as why you're coming into the market. Which people are you coming to serve? Because already the 22 million people have already on different telecoms, and out of the estimated 44 million people, I mean, can you choose the target at least for the remaining halfway of the other 20 million people? And speaking about growth and what you need to know about people's usage, at least we have seen growth in the last financial or communication highlight from UCC was highlighting that at least in every two Ugandans have gotten access to internet connection, which is representing a penetration of around 52%, and at least 85% of new mobile phones are internetly connected or enabled on internet, which is also trying to help people develop their sustainable growth towards digitalization and embracing technology around there. But because when you get on such space or on such digital spaces, you will realize you will not only maybe have penetration towards growth, but inclusivity even on financial services, because you will realize that there is now a lot of financial services that are being mitigated via the use of internet. If you're using Uber, if you're using Surfboard, if you're using buying things online, if you're using maybe anything to do with a service online transaction, you will need an integration or an interoperable solution of for example, data that will help you connect and have the ecosystem run, because you're not going to attain that service online, especially if you're not included digitally or if you're not embracing internet or the use of data. And where does this leave now the people or the local people doing business or the informal sector doing business, but on maybe a very gradual process? That means that there is a number of players, just not only telecoms really here, because now at least the telecoms that are around are doing service already. But the fact is that there are people who are not even included on these platforms, knowing that they belong to a certain category. So to me, it's just a sensitization part. If maybe some players could come on board, I mean, even Smart 24 TV, we have got a platform that you could take advantage of. Come on board, tell your people, tell your audience what services you're going to be bringing them. I mean, the niche out there that is going to make you unique, and why should Rita really get onto your platform to make sure that I be part of your digital endgame, or I be part of the financial service you're providing. Because in the end, if everyone is not included, that means we're still going to have regional, we're going to have maybe race imbalances, we're going to have gender imbalances. We're continuing to go registering cases of regional imbalances, because you will find some areas people are experiencing growth where others are just limited to growth, simply because we do not embrace how technology, you know, gets onto us, and then we get to such platforms. And this is my appeal now to especially women in the markets, because at least there is a number of women that are using that are doing business, but again, they are being limited during payment, or making payment solutions, or even having better payment solutions to their customers. How are you going to make sure you integrate that space so that you can beat up, or you can even compete favorably? Here's the thing, or here's the deal. Here is something you need to learn from today as we drive your business. So you have found that there is competition, and most now when we're going into digital, that means we are driving a cashless economy, whereby I do not need to work with cash, because it's proven to have insecurity, cause someone might just bomb into you or ambush you and grab the money that you're having. But as I have my phone, or even a USSD phone, a USSD is just the dial numbers, you dial *85 something, that's the USSD phone, or any codes. With the merchant payments, because you will realize when you've got at least platforms that make it easier for people to pay, you're going to always be a winner. You're always going to be a breadwinner for the communities you're serving. So this is me going to the market. I'm out of cash. I just pack to whatever market it is, whether Calabria, whether Busoga market, whether Busega, whether anywhere, whether Nakasero. But then I have no cash. But again, I have got cash on I've got cashless. That is, I've got funds on my phone. And I go, you've got good products, you've got good services, and I want really to buy from you. But the challenge is that is being faced is that when we go to attain services, you limit us again, because you want cash, you want hands-on cash, and at some point hands-on cash is spent a lot when just given to you on a daily basis. At the end of the day, if you do not put in cost to go bank it, you're going to put in cost of keeping it. Keeping cash is not easy, because it comes with a cost of pressure on you. You are trying to say who is watching me. So always try to embrace these digitalized technology schemes that come along. You can get a merchant payment, so that I just come, we just do the deal, and I send the money. And I've seen also businesses that I have decided, can I send you money via mobile money, or can I send you money via any mobile? And it's like, no, I don't want any mobile. Why? Because at the end of the day, the mobile at least helps you save, even when you need, a little cash. But when you have a cashless, you know that you're catered for something tomorrow, other than seeing it every day when it's here. You are bound to spend it. Very well. That makes it here for us in regards to the business perspectives from online, and also the SMB insight that comes around there. And any additions are always welcome on our social media platforms. We're going to be analyzing a little bit here before we take a break, because we're expecting sports after the break. But before we head there, there is also an escalation around commodities, and how they are actually being fair around the market, especially on the profitabilities on oil around the country, where we look at how profitable is Uganda's oil venture. Just a brief one here, because this is something continuous that we will have to speak about. I think things that we will have to speak about for this entire is the oil project, course, it's not going to stop coming in and raising concern. And then there is the parish development that is also being implemented on around there. But on this particular one, you will realize that profitable ventures around the oil project in the country are continuing to emerge as players also are highlighting on how other people can benefit. So to be a part of these beneficiaries more so, you can simply go on the website of PO.com, that is the petroleumoil.com around the country. So you will find a list listed, you will find a lot of ventures listed around there, especially this one is a niche for companies, more so those who would want to contract. If you want to contract, for example, with Total Energies, if you want to contract, for example, with UNOC or any ministry of, any entities in the Ministry of Energy, you're advised to take up that advantage. So you can find a little less really are individual categorized. Most of them are companies, at least 10 to more people. You can do something there. And I tell you, vacancies are there. So just make sure you tap onto such opportunities, because you're going to be posted, for example, in Bulisa, when your company is shortlisted. How would you feel to be a part or contributing via economical growth through the pipeline or the oil project? And not only that, now with the construction of the airport in Waima, you will also realize they highlighted some of the posts there in conjunction a bit with the airport related activities. So you can always be a part. You never know where your luck will really throw you at a point. And this is Smart24 TV. We take a break, but when we do return, we will be discussing and also highlighting for you what sports world is in regards to business. We take a break. We do return shortly.